McCarty and Neil Rule can give. It's time for Big D Energy, live on Woodward Sports. Join four-time Stanley Cup champion and legendary badass Darren McCarty and the golden voice of Neil Rule, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., as they give their takes on all things Detroit sports. The number one midday show in Detroit is on. Welcome to Big D Energy.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. It is a Victory Monday in more ways than one. You know, some more substantive than others, but it's all well and good. I think it is a happy day to be here. It is a Monday show, and I think this is going to be a nice little preview of what a lot of Monday shows are going to be like on this network. Am I right, everybody? Am I right? At least we certainly hope so. But I am Flannel Sam. The man to my right is Sean Belegian. We are filling in for Neil Rule and Darren McCarty. Sean, it's always a pleasure, and I feel like I've worked with you a lot lately, but it's always fun.
The reason why I started giggling as soon as you started talking is because at the exact moment that you started talking, I looked at the screen. Do you see what's on the screen? The behind the back pass.
Oh,
and
my God.
I can't listen. I can't help but think, what was your reaction? Were you half mast? Were you 3/4 mast? Did you go full mast? What happened when you saw that?
Well, my thought was there's one human being on all of planet Earth that could get away with something like that, who has the cachet, because normally somebody like me doesn't like that kind of tomfoolery. But you know what? When it's Patrick Mahomes, it's not tomfoolery.
Oh, my God.
Hey, the rules don't apply to Patrick Mahomes. I don't have to be consistent with my values when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. Come on.
You are right. Hey, listen, I quote it all the time. I'm a firm believer. I mean, in this business, everybody rips everybody's lines off. It happens all the time, okay?
Yeah.
So I always promise myself I am not going to be that guy. So one of one is something, you said it a year ago,
yes.
and I'm like, trademark Flannel Sam. Really, he's one of one. We can all admit it and go on about our day.
Oh, 100%. And, the Chiefs did take the L to the Lions on this and that opening preseason game. Hopefully that's a preview of another L the Chiefs will take to the Lions in February. But that's another story for another day. But nobody would really be shocked if that were the matchup. I will just say that. We've got KG in the sound booth. We've got Spencer Raxter in the TD booth. And
hello.
Hello to you, Spencer. I love it when you say that. But, we're going to talk a lot of Lions on this show. I think there were some very obvious standouts that we're going to break down one by one, and I think we're going to have a fun time doing that. Some of these guys might make big impacts on the team, and some might not. We shall see. But before we get into some other Tiger topics moving forward in the second hour, isn't it always a great weekend when the Tigers can take a series from the Yankees, no matter what no matter where they are in the standings, no matter the fact that the Tigers aren't going to make the playoffs and the Yankees will probably win the AL East and are one of the World Series favorites? It doesn't matter. And the fact that our Detroit Tigers got the clinching win of the series on Sunday Night Baseball. When's the last time the Tigers have been on Sunday Night Baseball?
Right.
I think it's been 2017 or something like that. That's what I saw, and I don't even know if that's verifiably correct. It seems like it's been forever. But, Sean, isn't it great to just beat the Yankees?
It is, and I think especially when you saw all those kids that were so giddy and downright happy for the Yankees and openly rooting for the Yankees as ESPN was. I mean, it felt like I was watching a New York broadcast yesterday, and somewhere somebody's yelling "Boo dem kids," and those kids got their boos last night. But Flannel, you're right, and I want to follow up with something that we talked about on Friday. One of my lines is a year away from being a year away,
Yep.
okay? I'm still using it. Don't get me wrong. But this is different. And let me tell you why it's different. Because a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the lineup was chock full of guys that you knew damn well when the Tigers got good, they weren't going to be here. Mm-hmm. You knew damn well. The difference now is we are actually seeing guys come into the lineup and contribute. Tough night for Sweeney, but you're seeing guys come into the lineup and contribute, and that's what gives you hope. If you had a lineup full of, no disrespect, you all know the names, the guys that have been here and for some reason have taken on that cult-like image to a lot of people. If this lineup was chock full of guys like that, KG, I wouldn't be fired up. I'd be like, Yay, great. We'll get 2 or 3 more, bums of the month or whatever. But these are a bunch of young players. I'm not saying clear sailing ahead, but that is progress to me.
Oh, it's everything. And we're going to talk about it more in the second hour because there is a lot to be excited about. But one thing that I wanted to talk about with regards to this series win against the Yankees by our Detroit Tigers is, did you see how the Tigers pitching staff handled Aaron Judge and Juan Soto this weekend? Aaron Judge, a combined 3 of 12 with a home run in the in game 1 of the series that the Yankees unfortunately won. But still, you would take that if you were going up against this version of Aaron Judge who was going to win the AL MVP. And Juan Soto, the man who I believe, and this may be a hot take, is the best hitter I've ever seen, 0 for 10 in this series with a couple of walks. You're gonna win a lot of games if you are able to handle Juan Soto and Aaron Judge like that. And here's a list of a couple people who were able to get Juan Soto out. We had Brennan Hanafy, Brant Herter, and Cater Montero. It wasn't like he was just facing the Scoobles and the Tyler Holtons, although those two got him out as well. But some of the not as heralded pitchers, some of the young guys, they were able to handle Juan Soto. And for the most part, the Tigers pitching staff handled Aaron Judge and Juan Soto all weekend, and that's the recipe to beat him.
Well, and you know what? Marcus Stroman looked like the guy that 6-7 years ago was a can't-miss prospect as well. I mean, he was dealing. I thought that guy was going to be a flat-out stud. I saw him a lot when he was with Toronto. It never really happened. He's not a bad pitcher.
Yeah, he was up and down.
Yeah,
he was up and down.
Man, but do you remember early on?
Yeah, he was a monster.
And his dad's the biggest, buffest man I've ever seen. If you don't believe me, Google is your friend. Look up Marcus Stroman's father. He muscles on top of muscles. He makes Spenny look like a tiny man. But at the end of the day, to me, not only what you just said, but they grinded out on a night where Marcus Stroman looked like the Marcus Stroman that a lot of people thought he would be. That's a damn good win. Take it for what it is. Take a series win, national television. There's some exciting points.
It is a great win. It's a great homestand. Well, I guess homestand plus the Little League Classic. They went 5-1, so the wild card pushes back. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
9 games back.
Stop.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But hey, finish the season over 500. That is well within the cards, especially when we see what the Tigers have coming up on their schedule. But KG, doesn't it feel nice to just beat the piss out of the Yankees no matter what?
Yes, and I know what people going to say. Yes, I like the Yankees, but Detroit first and foremost always. So, no, it was good to get that series, man. And I know it doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but I just like seeing this young talent, man. It seems like we have something here. And everybody that we called up seemingly has been okay. I like what I'm seeing out of Trey Sweeney. I know he struggled last night, but overall, I do like his future, especially defensively, just way better than Javi Baez. Having Javi out there, man. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jace Young. I know he got off to a slow start, but you can see certain things with these young players that there's something there.
Yep.
And going into next year, I do have hope. I think this year it's clear that they need to spend some kind of money to protect these young guys going forward, but who says we got to wait 2 years to contend? I feel like next year, if they put the right pieces around these young guys, then, hey, you never know.
And listen, like you said, Flannel, it's not a pants around your ankle moment if the Tigers finish strong, and God forbid, win 82 games, 82 and 80. I know there are going to be a lot of people that are going to want to have a parade down Woodward, but it is different. It is different, and it's different because of some of the reasons that you just said, KG.
Yeah.
This isn't the lineup chock full of the Robbie Grossmans and the Akil Badus. These are guys that, okay, let's see how this turns out. Next 10 games, I know you touched on it, but you've got 7 against the 2 bad Chicago teams. You got 3 against Anaheim. You know what? Why don't you go on a tear? Why don't you go 8-2 or 7-3 and blow past 500 and give something to the people for the last month of the year? Although, let's be honest, I think most guys are going to check out with football starting, especially the excitement about the Lions. But I think for the diehard baseball guys out there, the guys who saw that Tarek Skubal was making a pitch and a claim to being the best pitcher of baseball a year ago at this time, to those people, this is the world, man.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, I have a big fondness for Mr. Robbie Grossman. So bring him home. Bring him home next year for a free agency. He's the type of guy that if he were playing back in the days of old Billy Bean, back in the movie Moneyball, he would have thrown that tablet and was like, Robbie Grossman. And the rest of the guys, who? He'd help you win. Robbie Grossman. Bring him home. But yeah, one of the names, Steven Syrett in the chat. Remember those Tiger teams starring one Nico Goodrum? That's
throwback.
And the Castros.
Oh my goodness, the
Oh.
Castros. Willie Castro's actually
Willie's
good.
actually
Yeah, he
good.
was solid.
Probably should have
Willie with an eye.
Probably should have held on to that one. But you know what? It's
an all-star.
He is an all-star. He was an all-star this season. But Spencer, doesn't it feel nice to just watch the Tigers beat the Yankees no matter what's going on in the standings?
It does. The Yankees are a top 5 most hated sports franchise in my life, so I love seeing the Yankees lose. I love seeing the Tigers beat the Yankees. Like, the Yankees are up there for me with Michigan, the Maple Leafs, the Cowboys. Like, they're an evil empire, and I
Chill on
hate
U
them.
of M.
I hate Michigan. But you look at why and how they won too, which was fun. You see Jace Young get the RBI. You see Parker Meadows get the walk-off. The tying and winning runs were two guys that you expect to be a part of this young core going forward. That makes it so much sweeter. Is the young guys stepping up in a big moment with the world watching and all these young kids in the stands watching these Yankees all-star team out there losing to the young Tigers. You love to see that. It means more for sure than if like you said, if Nico Goodrum got the game-tying RBI, I'd be like, okay. But it was Jace Young. You like to see that. And he made a nice play at third. He didn't get the runner, but he ran up and got the ball, got it over to first in a hurry. So I was excited.
I can't stress that enough. Victor Reyes,
Yeah.
Scope,
Oh, Victor Reyes.
and like Kreidler, Tucker Barnhart. I can't
Barnhart,
stress that enough.
Yeah.
That's why. Don't get me wrong. I'm not moving away from a year away from being a year away. I'm not. But I think this is different. This is worth keeping an eye on for some of the reasons that you guys have all brought up this morning.
Yes, and just remember, guys, there will be no Grayson Griner slander in my presence. None whatsoever. I'm obviously kidding, but you're bringing up Tucker Barnhart. Jesus Christ. Scope.
Jonathan.
Jonathan Scope.
What happened to him too? He
had one good year.
He perished.
Yeah.
He turned into a corpse right in front of our eyes.
Oh, you taking me back.
He used to get his haircut here all the time.
Hey,
Did he really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, Jonathan Scope. Eric Haas, remember that name?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, relax, Michigan guy.
But those were the teams. Even the one in Hinch's first season where they actually had a pretty decent year, you knew that there was no future. And obviously we saw what happened in 2022 where it really bottomed out. Last year, I would say it was more of a you could see the makings of the future. And this year you're seeing even more makings of the future with guys coming up like Colt Keith and the Justin Henry Malloys, although he didn't last. I don't necessarily love that, but we'll see in September call-ups. But you know what? When we come back, we've got a lot of Lions to get into because I know it was just a preseason game, but it was a very exciting one, and I think some very unique people stepped up and did their thing. Some that people were doubting. One of them in particular might make a very big impact on this team moving forward. But do you know what makes a big impact on KG and Spenmo Rax's everyday? Dispo, of
this
course.
morning.
Damn right.
How would you like $10 of free products from Dispo Dispensary? Screenshot this image with the QR code and bring it into any Dispo location, and you'll get a free $10 to spend in store with a minimum purchase of $25. Visit Dispo Dispensary today or disposhops.com. Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Okay, so shop.woodwardsports.com. If you need some merch, go buy it there. We
Boom.
got Tigers merch, Lions merch, Red Wings merch, anything you need. Shop.woodwardsports.com.
Boom.
All right.
All right. Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you all for sticking with us. Spenmo Rax did a hell of a job getting us through some choppy waters, but that's all well and good. And I appreciate that you guys almost make it like kind of the fun of Woodward Sports sometimes, because we have fun here. And Spenny, let's hope for a stress-free day for the rest of the show. And I saw somebody in the chat before we get to the Lions talk. Anybody remember Jacoby Jones?
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, how can I
Derek
forget?
Hill.
Derek Hill. Jacoby Jones oddly had some like big moments for the Tigers. Big on the Tigers scale, but I looked up his career numbers. They are not good.
Yeah.
He was fast though. But do you know who else is fast? Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the first thing that you think of when you think of Hendon Hooker, but he had himself a hell of a day for the Lions on a Saturday against the Kansas City Chiefs. 12 for 15, 150 yards. I thought that he looked comfortable and better, and he came back from that little scare, that concussion protocol. So let me ask you these couple of questions, Sean.
All right.
1, were you impressed with Hendon Hooker? 2, do you feel comfortable having him be the backup quarterback going into this season?
I'm going to call myself a hypocrite right now before any of you can do it. I'm the guy that screams at people, don't put too much into these games. I openly admit it, okay? But yeah, look, when you go to Kansas City, when you knock off the Chiefs, yes, it feels a little better, especially when you consider how many of their starters that they played. So yeah, it means a little different. Yes, I think anybody watching that game has to feel a hell of a lot better about Hendon Hooker. Now, I was already a guy, and I said so last week, I was already a guy that said, I don't have a problem with him being QB2. I think he can do it. To me, I wasn't the guy that you had to win over. You know who you had to win over? His partner, Spenny's partner. Like, so to a guy like Easy, do you watch that now and say, I'm going to step off the Tannehill train now?
Yeah.
You know, do you take a step off of that? I thought that the guy could be good. You and I even talked about it. Catastrophic injury, forget it, your season's over anyway. But I thought you brought up a good analogy last week. God forbid even an injury happens, and it's 6 games. You hope that a guy could come in and at least stop the bleeding. Not completely stop the bleeding, but stop the bleeding. Hope to go 3-3 in the time that your QB1 is out. To me, guys, the Hendon Hooker that I saw, I feel comfortable saying QB2.
That's fair. And Chuck Brewer in the chat, I think this echoes what a lot of us feel. Confident for what? To play a game or two? Yes. To our playoff chances? No. And
You got it.
Of course, if Jared Goff were to go down with something season-ending, I wouldn't be like, okay, the Lions still have the exact same expectations as before. Certainly not. But you know, there's always a chance when it comes to any NFL player, including quarterbacks, that he takes one wrong hit, maybe rolls his ankle or something, and has to miss a game or two. And Hendon Hooker, and I get it, it's just preseason, but he looked pretty damn good out there. KG, are you confident that Hendon Hooker can be quarterback too?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And me and Sean was in the same camp. I didn't want to risk any trade capital to go get a backup quarterback. I didn't want to pay high money to a backup quarterback, especially somebody like a Ryan Tannehill that's not really going to come in and help your culture none, at least from my perspective. So it was really good to see what we saw out of Hendon Hooker, man. I mean, the kid led the offense down the field multiple times. And dare I say, if Jared Goff were to go down, not saying this would be a Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe type situation, but with our starters and with a Ben Johnson offense, I am confident that he can win you games, man, in the event that Jared Goff would go down for multiple games. Hopefully that doesn't happen, knock on wood or whatever, but he can make the NFL throws. You like his poise in the pocket, but he can also get out of the pocket. He's not happy feet. He's moving at the right time, still surveying the field. And the kid he has a good arm, man. So I really like what I saw. I know it's preseason. I know it was against the second unit, guys. Trust me. But as far as QB2 goes, I felt like we had him in the building the whole time, and he affirmed that with this game.
Yes, and Skydog 722, Mr. Wet Blanket. Let's see a show of hands that know Hooker was playing against backups. And I understand that.
Clearly.
I hate that argument.
Go ahead, Smitty.
Let's see a show of hands that know Hooker was playing with backups.
Yes.
And with third strings. So everybody that's like, oh, he was playing against second and third string defense play. He was playing with a second and third string offensive line and skill position players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to be going up a first-team defense if he has to go out there for Goff, but he's also going to be going up with the best offensive line in the NFL, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamison Williams, etc.
Great point.
You put that guy, I have confidence that if you put him in this offense for a game or two, God forbid Jared Goff rolls an ankle, breaks a rib, something like that, I have faith he can win games.
Thank you.
And I've got maybe a bit of a confession. I may have overreacted a little bit because I was for a little while, maybe, I wouldn't say the leader of the Get Ryan Tannehill camp, but I made arguments as to why it was a fine and okay idea. I was thinking maybe they should trade for Taylor Heineke, which I'm still not even against, by the way. And I was also maybe panicked a little bit by seeing Hendon Hooker and a head injury, which, Spenny, you kind of checked me on that. And it turns out you were right all along because he was back about when you said that he was going to be back. And what I noticed about Hendon Hooker...
I know my concussions.
Hey, that's actually fair. I should have
He's just got his bell rung.
I should have listened to the aficionado the whole time. But one thing... When it comes to Hendon Hooker, it wasn't even to me about his numbers or the drives that he led. It was more about the fact that he looked like he belonged. Yep. I saw somebody who was accurate, as KG said. He was on time. He was comfortable in the pocket. He stepped up when he needed to. He didn't get happy feet. And during a situation where he was able to see an opening and run, he had a 7-yard touchdown scramble. So to me, Hendon Hooker, the fact that he was able to come back from the precautionary head, like concussion protocol, and was able to play as well as he did, and make some pretty big throws under, and I get it, it's just preseason pressure situations, that drive when they were down 23-15, that was pretty damn impressive. Mm-hmm. I like what I see, and the fact that we've always known he is so talented. He's a guy who was underdrafted because of injury. He put up big numbers in college. He's got all the talent in the world. So to me, and I get it, it's just preseason, but there's a lot of factors that go into why I'd probably like to see Hendon Hooker as QB2, honestly.
You know that the thing is, too, and I know everybody talks about the injury, but I can tell you this. I saw this when he was at college, and I'm sure you guys have heard some of it since he left Tennessee. System quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How many times did you hear the term system quarterback? That it was Heupel and it wasn't Hendon Hooker. And I'm telling you what, guys, for what it's, he had my Heisman vote 2 years ago until the injury. Mm-hmm. And I get together and we have like these video conferences and talk to the other guys. And I can't tell you, I wish I could show it. I do it in the all caps every other letter. System quarterback came up so many times. You know what? It was nice to see him out of the system and making things happen. And I'm a firm believer, if you can make things happen in a system, you can make things happen outside of the system. I'm a firm believer in that. This is a guy that made things happen. This is a guy that I think, being the key and operative word, put some of those questions to rest. And again, am I advocating for this guy to be QB1? Absolutely no way, shape, and form. I'd love nothing more if we never saw him take a single snap. But to the worry warts out there about QB2, I think he answered some questions on Saturday.
Sure, and again, Mr. Wet Blanket guy, cue ball. 93, the defense won the game. We're not talking about winning the game. We're talking about how Hendon Hooker looked like he belonged.
Couldn't care less about the result of the
Nobody
game.
cares about that.
It means nothing to me. Sorry, nothing.
No, it does mean absolutely nothing. It's about how he looked in the game. And one more thing. It's not just that Hendon Hooker is as talented as he is, has played well as he did in the preseason game. Those two things, you could make an argument that they don't mean a ton. But do you know what I think means a ton to every single Lions fan out there? And I get it, this guy is not perfect. He's not only a extremely talented quarterback, he is an extremely talented quarterback that Brad Holmes identified.
Yes, sir. Value pick.
And it's always trust in Brad Holmes, and I understand that he's not perfect, but that to me, given how talented he is, given how well we saw him perform in preseason, that holds a lot of weight to me. And I am almost completely off of the train of going to get a high-priced backup at this point. I think I've seen damn near enough, personally.
Almost completely off?
I mean, God. You know what I would like to see, and we're going to get into it a little bit more in an upcoming segment. I would like to see Hendon Hooker play start to finish in the last preseason game. That's what I would love to see. At home, at Ford Field. I get it. It's preseason. It's not of too much significance, but no more Nate Sudfeld. Get him off the field.
Can we stop starting him in the first half? What is that about?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen enough.
What more do you need to see?
Thank you.
Like not being a dick. What more do you need to see?
Hey, you know what? It's that leadership, man. The way that he holds that clipboard, the way that he massages Jared Goff's shoulders.
Right, let Broder tell it.
The way that he
man.
knows the system. Oh, my goodness. Just gets me off just thinking about it. No, obviously not. I put less stock in that than damn near anybody who you'll ever see talking about sports. But you know what? Hendon Hooker, we could talk about him the whole show and wax poetic, but there were a lot of other players that stepped up.
It was the Jake Bates game. I mean, I know we're going to get into it, man, but I got to take my victory lap. I know it's no victory laps in training camp. I'm taking my lap, man.
I was terrified. You have to see it. Like, I don't care what, and you can talk about it all you. It's almost like the Tigers, okay? Can I flip back? You look back, all those names that we mentioned, going back to a couple of years ago, most of these names were mythical creatures. And we heard about the wonders that they did back in Greek society, but when we saw them come up here, we didn't see a damn thing. And so that's what's different. That's the different vibe right now. And I'm with you. There was a reason why a guy like Bates, okay, didn't even kick in college. He was known as the kickoff guy and you know, the ex-soccer guy. And there's a reason why he hung around the USFL and all those, he can hit those long ones, but what about the 40-yarder? You have to go out there and prove it. Now, small sample size, absolutely. But all you can do is do enough to win a job. And there's another guy in my mind. He's done enough to win a job, hasn't he?
Hey, more on the KG Jake Bates victory lap when we come back from break. But first, tell us about Wake Up Woodward.
I will tell you about Wake Up Woodward every day, Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Tap into Wake Up Woodward. It's got Kool-Aid, Flannel Sam, Broder, KG, JB. The gang is all here. Like I said, 8 to 10 a.m. Only on the Woodward Sports Network. It's the best morning show in the country. Make sure you tap into Wake Up Woodward tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports.
Premier Pet Supplies, hands down, Michigan's best pet store. Same prices, all the conveniences of the online and big box retailers, with one major difference. They're family and locally owned and operated for over 30 years with 60 brands of food and nutrition experts to help you. They also have same-day local curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply, give your pet the best. All you got to do is go to premierpetsupply.com. That's premierpetsupply.com. Give your pet the best.
Hey, welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my right is Sean Belegian. We are filling in for Neil Rule and Darren McCarty. And the man in the sound booth is very, very excited about Jake Bates' performance.
That's
on,
right. Talk to
Saturday.
him.
You know what?
Talk to him.
How about you talk to everybody and take your victory lap? Take
man.
lap 1, 2, 3.
I mean, where you want it from? You want it from 55? You want it from 23, 46, 36? It don't matter, man.
Game on the line. 2 seconds left.
I don't care about the extra point. It's preseason. I don't care. But, of course, going forward, like, you don't want to see the kid missing extra points. He does have to clean that up. But overall, like you said, outdoors, big situation. I know it's preseason, but to kick in that kind of stadium, you know, the fans were in full force, even though it was a preseason game. You felt good walking away from that, man, especially after all the inconsistencies that you heard about in training camp and OTAs and everything leading up to this. So I believe we have our kicker. They didn't go out and get a kicker for a reason. I felt like they had belief that this kid can hold it down. Now, of course, they might go get one just for depth purposes, but overall, I think he is your kicker of the future, and you just want to see him continue the good streak of consistency, especially, you know, on not just the long range kicks, but the shorter stuff as well.
No, that's fair. And I'll admit, I was one of those guys that was a little bit annoyed by the Jake Bates coronation before he even kicked in the preseason. However, here's the reality. I thought that Michael Badgley was better than most Lions fans did, but it's immaterial now because he's out for the season. We hope that Jake Bates turns out to be an even better option than Michael Badgley was last season, and I got to give the man his flowers.
Yeah.
You're right. Wherever you want it from, he made it. He made a 55-yarder, which is something that I don't think Michael Badgley would have been able to do outside. But that really wasn't the question about Jake Bates. It was, could he make the more makeable ones? Could he be a guy that if it's 45 and closer in, you can damn near put 3 points on the board? And that's what he showed. 23-yarder, a 32-yarder, and a 43-yarder with and I get it, it's preseason, but for Jake Bates,
with the game on the line,
that's a lot of pressure, man.
Absolutely.
No question.
He's fighting for a job. He's kicking in Arrowhead, which is probably the most terrifying place to play
Right.
in
Even
the
in
NFL right now.
preseason, it
Even
was
in
loud.
preseason.
I'm
And
telling you.
Jake Bates isn't guaranteed anything, and he knows that. And he stepped up and he made that kick. And a 43-yarder outside, it certainly isn't a gimme. I get it. He missed an extra point, and that's not something that can be a trend. But I've got full confidence that he's going to make at least 95% of his extra points this season, because every kicker does. And if he doesn't, you can shoot him to the sun. I have every bit of confidence that Jake Bates can at least make his extra points. And if he can make all of his field goals at this level, including the 50-plus yarder that he had in New York in bad weather, maybe Jake Bates is the guy. Maybe all of the hype that kind of became what it was based on what he did for the Michigan Panthers, maybe it was all justified, and that would be a hell of a story. And maybe he is the Lions' Harrison Butker. Maybe he is the Lions' Justin Tucker. Maybe he is the Lions' Adam Vinatieri. I'm not saying that that's for sure going to happen. It's just, as much as I'm kind of lukewarm on kickers, history does show that a lot of dynastic teams, at least a couple that we know, have had excellent kickers. I'll just say that.
You know, it's interesting, though, because as you said, I mean, here's the dirty little secret in the NFL as well. Okay, if let's say he struggles, you can kick him to the curb.
Yep.
I mean, and that's, listen, don't tell anybody, okay? Do you know you bring guys in every Tuesday?
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Don't tell anybody. They bring guys in every Tuesday and work them out at different positions, including kickers. And I'm sorry, I am of the belief, I think you alluded to this, and I'll take it a step further, I think kickers are a dime a dozen, man.
Yeah.
If this guy doesn't work out, there are a bunch of guys sitting on the sidewalk. Now, again, don't make it the hard and fast rule, because there are special kickers out there. But I've seen it enough. I remember, listen, when I was a kid, those Dallas Cowboys teams, that remember they won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls, they had a different kicker every year. Mm-hmm. They just didn't put any premium into it, including our own Eddie Murray, and it was still so weird to see Eddie Murray in a Dallas Cowboy uniform. But to that point, I think being the key and operative word, and that's why we're talking to you about it, I think he's done enough. I think he's shown enough. All right, let's go into season, see what he's got. And you know what? If the moment's too big for him, when the lights are bright, there's a kicker on the sidewalk. I promise you there's a kicker on the sidewalk right now.
Has Riley Patterson been picked up yet?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Don't do that.
But you get the point.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of kickers out there right now looking for work, man.
Yeah, and I'm not, obviously, if Riley Patterson has to come in and kick and Jake Bates gets kicked to the curb, no pun intended, that would not be good. That's certainly not what it seems like is going to happen as long as Jake Bates continues to kick. And maybe this is a wrong way of thinking. I'm not necessarily sure. But to me, kicking is something that can translate across almost any level of football. And I get it. there's different pressures of playing regular season games versus preseason games versus UFL games, but it's like, I forgot what a movie was. It was Hoosiers when they were at the whatever Hinkle Fieldhouse or whatever, playing that state championship game versus their normal gym that they played at in Hickory, Indiana. 10 feet. It's all 10 feet. It's all the same amount of yardage. It's the same goalpost. It's the same everything except for situations and maybe crowd noise and whatnot. And Jake Bates, as somebody who was a little bit skeptical, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Like, what am I supposed to do? Act like it was all lucky or whatnot? I hope Jake Bates is great. I hope that Jake Bates turns into the kicker of the future. He will honestly become probably one of the most beloved figures on the team if he becomes our Harrison Butker or even an approximation of that.
You're right.
Well, and you know what? The yips are real for kickers, and some of the great kickers have gone through periods of the yips. We can go through the history of kickers. I mean, there were dudes that were just absolute money that somewhere along the way it got between their ears, and all of a sudden they couldn't kick anymore. And a lot of guys kind of get it back. Maybe they're even maybe they're even out of the league for a year and then come back and get another opportunity or whatever the case may be. But the yips are kicking is one of those things, man. It's between the ears.
Yeah,
it really is.
Ask Mason Crosby,
right?
Man, the up and down shit we done saw from him. But just overall, like I said, and I feel like we got to give credit to Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Like I said, they didn't go get a kicker, and I felt like they did that for a reason. They put all the pressure on this kid, coming out of training camp, struggling. Hey, we trust in you. We're not going to go get, anybody to compete with you just yet. We want to see what you have. And he stepped up, to the occasion, man. So you just hope you can keep seeing this from him. But shout out to the staff for noticing, hey, let's put a little pressure on this kid, see if we can come out on the other side of it. And so far, so good.
Yes. And because I'll tell you what, and I may have dabbled in it slightly, I will admit it. Hopefully there's no verifiable tape on it, but I know I certainly thought it. There were some people, and I'm not going to name any names because, as I said, I may have been guilty as well, who were victory lapping Jake Bates' training camp struggles, or at least the reports of Jake Bates' training camp struggles. I'm not saying any names because, as I said,
I wish you was here.
I wasn't as big of a Bates fan as you were either, but it's got to feel good for you the fact that we can actually see Jake Bates just kick nukes. That's pretty awesome, right?
Yes, beautiful.
Oh, it is beautiful. And Chase Amley brings up, intern Chase, Roberto Aguayo. That man got cut on camera. He was one of the worst kickers I've ever seen. But that's kind of a
Wasn't he like a second-round pick?
He was a second-round pick. He's one of the best college kickers ever. But that's kind of a counterpoint to what I said about how kicking is something that I think translates pretty much at every level of football. But hey, I can't explain Roberto Aguayo because he hasn't been in the NFL since.
When the yips hit, though, honestly, I mean, some guys never recover. I mean, honestly, some guys. Chip Lohmiller was a great kicker back in the day, and then just one day he couldn't kick anymore. I mean, it's weird how that happens, and you've seen guys kind of get the yips and lose them during the regular season, or maybe have to wait to the next year and everything. It's one of those positions, man, that I mean, whether you're talking about the goalie in hockey that he seems to be a little weird, I think you put kickers in that group as well. They got their own kind of language and their own kind of zen about them. And when it goes, it's like, kickers are weird. What's going on here? So
and if he can just find that consistent stroke pause, man, just think about like what this adds to the Lions offense, man, especially with the new kickoff rules and everything. You only got to get 20 yards and you're in this guy's range, man. So I really hope going forward he can show us that he can be that guy, because the Lions offense looks completely different if you have a bomber from 60 yards out.
I mean, one thing you can't teach, and I'm not comparing Jake Bates, this guy, obviously, but he has a Matt Prater type leg.
Yes.
He just does. We've actually seen him kick field goals in the UFL that would have been the record before Justin Tucker broke it at Ford Field, of course, because of course he did. But you know what? It's the brand new Lions. Hopefully stuff like that doesn't happen anymore. But There's another position in which there were a couple of guys who really stepped up and a couple of guys who I'm thinking might be on their way out of Detroit. And we're going to talk about that when we come back. But first, I have to tell you about Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, where I get all of my haircuts. Spencer Raxter got his lion's mane cut at Lady Jane's as well, making us look as fresh as absolutely possible. They've got wonderfully talented stylists. They can give you the hot towel massage, the neck shave, any experience you want. You can walk in, you can make an appointment. I'd probably make an appointment if I were you, but if you don't mind waiting, come on in, get your hair cut. If you're going on a job interview, date, whatever you possibly want, Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. It is wicked awesome.
And let me tell you about the Ally Challenge presented by McLaren. It is back August 22nd through the 25th at Warwick Hills. Leave the golf to the pros, but don't miss the party on 17. $2 birdie beers, concerts, and more. Get your tickets at allychallenge.com. Brought to you by Randy Wise Automotive.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody!
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts. Hey, welcome back to Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, filling...
There we go.
I am Flannel Sam. The man to my right is Sean Beligian. We are filling in for Neil Rule and Darren McCarty. In the sound booth, we have KG, and in the TD booth, we have Spencer Raxter.
Hey, shout out Spinny, man.
Going through hell right now,
Yeah.
but you know what? We love him for it.
Hey, he pirating the ship, man. He is nowhere right now, and we on the ark. So, shout out to you, Spinny. I know how much of a headache that can be.
Oh, absolutely. And the man does 2 shows a day, so
Right.
he is a hard-working man, one of the most valuable people at this network, as are everybody else in here, by the way. I'm only what I am because of everybody around me, and I know a lot of people in the chat probably will agree with that. But you know what? We all need good teammates around us. And speaking of potentially good teammates for the Jared Goffs, Amon-Ra St. Browns, the Hutches, and the Sewells of the world, how about some wide receivers that stepped up pretty big in that preseason game on Saturday? I think the ones to me that stand out, or the one to me, Isaiah Williams.
Yeah.
He had himself a hell of a game. I know Caden Davis had a long touchdown catch and run himself. A couple didn't look so great. Donovan Peoples-Jones. But we don't have to talk about him too much. But Sean Beligian.
You forgetting one.
Oh, yes, Tom Kennedy, the man who is going to be on the practice squad and do a great job for the practice squad. But Sean Beligian, how much stock do you put into a couple of the wide receivers really stepping up and playing well in this preseason game?
All you can do is go out, much like we were talking about with Jake Bates, all you can go out and do is your job. Okay, and when the real opportunity, even in an exhibition game, starts, if you show you're better than the other guy, I mean, the flip side to that is poor Calhoun. I mean, like honestly, when I was younger, I used to sit there, a guy like that, cut his ass, you know. As I've gotten older, your heart breaks for things like that because this is a guy who's played ball his whole life, and okay, well, that's your chance, kid. Best of luck. And so, I mean, to me, yes, you want to see guys go win jobs. Now, this is where we talk about, I am convinced, and I might be in the minority, I am convinced that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes know the overwhelming majority of what this roster will look like, okay? But there might be that one spot where if Isaiah Williams goes out and gets it done, you know what? Okay, it was close before, but I gotta put him a peg above and everything. So those are, in my mind, those are the jobs that might be available. Are they massive jobs? No, because we know how the pecking order is going to look. There's no doubt about it. But a roster spot to anybody? Hell yeah. And I think in a game like this, maybe, just maybe, he gave himself up a bump.
Sure. And for the record, I don't think, when it comes to a guy like Caden Davis, I think he's still going to be on the practice squad no matter what. Yeah, he made a big play, but Isaiah Williams was the one who consistently looked great out there. And I get it. In a traditional NFL offense, Isaiah Williams does seem a little redundant with everything else the Lions have, with guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Khalif Raymond. But in this offense, when you got Ben Johnson as the coordinator and Jared Goff as the quarterback, I kind of feel like for a couple of plays, maybe this season, Isaiah Williams could be Jared Goff's best friend. He's the type of receiver that I think Jared Goff would work well with. He runs good routes, he plays out of the slot, and he just always gets open. And I get it, preseason, but when I was watching Isaiah Williams, I just saw his full skill set on display. He had a big punt return. He had a big end-around first down. He caught a screen pass where he caught and ran it for a first down. He had a 37-yard catch and run on the sidelines in which he got wide open and got some nice yak yards. A couple first downs, catch and runs over the middle. It was just, he just looked like he belonged, and he looked like he was always open, kind of like 7-Eleven. But he's another one. He was underdrafted. I don't know how this man didn't get drafted somewhere. He was projected as, I think, a 5th-round pick. He fell to the Detroit Lions as an undrafted free agent signing. And I get it. Undrafted free agents aren't somebody who you really expect to contribute to this team. But just look at him stepping up versus what you see out of somebody like Donovan Peoples-Jones, who just, that man ain't separating worth a damn. He looks terrible out there. I hate to be a prick because I was rooting for that man. We were rooting for you, or I was rooting for you. But when you watch Isaiah Williams out there and how he fits in this offense and how I think he's going to work with Jared Goff, how could you not look at that and be like, this MFer's going to make the team?
I'd love to hear you say that. I don't give a damn what your pedigree is. I don't give a damn if you're taken in the 5th round, the 7th round, or an undrafted free agent. If you're going there and putting it on tape, there's that term again, the way that he is, and I thought your assessment was spot on. That was a guy, it was like, ooh, okay, how's he going to do it now? And you know, just for you, this is just for you, kind of like when J-Mo, the coming out party started in the playoff. It was like, oh, okay, so you're going to do this and you're going to do that. I'm not comparing him to J-Mo. Don't take it. But, Flannel, isn't that what you want? You want a guy that is versatile, that can hurt you in a myriad of ways, that can be part of that variety that we talk about, the have it your way menu. You know what? I'm going to have one of that. I'm going to have it. How do you want us to get you? This is a guy that can hurt you in a myriad of ways, seemingly.
Yes, and I see this in the chat, and I love to see it. And this is from Tony D, because we talk about there being an abundance of those slot type of receivers, those are smaller ones. Tony D, big body receiver equals tight end. Sam Laporta. And I get it, Sam Laporta is not going to be one to necessarily stretch the field, although he did it a couple of times last year. But in this offense, with Ben Johnson, with Jared Goff, do you really need that big body receiver? You'd like to have it. Like, honestly, I'm looking at the wide receiver core and kind of thinking I would like for it to be Amon-Ra, Laporta, Josh Reynolds, J-Mo, Khalif, and Isaiah Williams. I'm looking at that being like, damn, that would be nice, although Josh Reynolds, we all know, is no longer here. But I'm looking at guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm looking at guys like Darius Fountain, and I'm just not seeing damn near anything in these preseason games. And I know Darius Fountain has been a practice warrior, but Isaiah Williams, he to me has stood out on this offense more than damn near anybody. Probably him or Sione Vaki are the preseason MVPs for this offense, and you love to see it. It might have been one of Brad Holmes's next master classes. KG, How are you feeling about the wide receivers stepping up like Isaiah Williams?
I mean, Isaiah Williams for the second straight preseason game led the team in receptions, 71 yards on 4 targets, 6 catches. So, 6 targets, 4 catches. But, yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's over with the DPJ project. And to your point, Isaiah Williams, somebody that was doing it at Illinois, he's showing you he can do it at the NFL level, man. And I do want to preference that most of DPJ's reps came with Nate Sudfeld at quarterback, but he has just not done anything to really, warrant him getting the number 3 or number 4 job at this point, man. And I don't want to say he's done in his career. Maybe it just didn't work out here, but you want guys that are just going to step up and take what they want, man. And Isaiah Williams is taking this job right now. Like you said, I don't care about the pedigree. I don't care about where you've been. Whoever is going to come in and work the hardest and win this job, that's who should get the job. It would have been nice to have a big body receiver, but we can supplement that in other ways, especially in a Ben Johnson offense. So not necessarily worried about that. But, yeah, it's just unfortunate for DPJ because I think this project is over now. And luckily they didn't spend a lot of money on him when they re-signed him.
In a perfect world, one of the 6'2", 6'3" guys would have stepped up. That's
what they wanted.
Fountain, Smith, Green, one of those guys would have said, me. It's all about me. But listen, I think when you're in the National Football League, your pedigree is going to take you a little bit. You brought this up earlier. Being a Holmes guy is going to give you a little bit more rope than not. If you're the GM's guy, if you were brought in by the GM, well, he wants to show everybody how smart he is. And most importantly, whether they want to admit it or not, he wants to show everybody that he's not a dumbass for signing this guy or that guy to a contract. So they're going to get a little bit more rope. But at the end of the day, you have to get the guys that are the best options for you, man. That's just the way it is in the NFL.
Yes, and one funky Lions fan, you don't need a big body to stretch the field when you got speed. And, of course, we all know the speed that Jamison Williams provides. And
that's your boy.
Hey, my guy. But, yeah, he's obviously someone who can stretch the field as well.
And he's looked damn good in the red zone in practice.
That's fair. That's, hey, and you saw it in the NFC Championship game with that big red zone.
That's your boy.
Catch. Hey, it's certainly not, but he could become my boy because I am getting a jersey of his if he has over 1,000 receiving yards. That's a deal I made, and I'm going to be a man of my word, and I hope it happens. And the thing, too, because I hear the whole, Donovan Peoples-Jones had Nate Sudfeld to throw the ball to him, and I understand that. I understand that completely. And I remember Darius Fountain, one of Hendon Hooker's bad throws, Darius Fountain was running wide open, and Hendon Hooker just missed him. However, and I'm going to leave this to Donovan Peoples-Jones specifically, when I see him getting targeted, when I see him on the field, I don't see a ton of separation. When I watch Isaiah Williams, I see him running these crisp, clean routes and just being open on damn near every single play. And the thing, too, about Isaiah Williams, which gives me a lot of hope, there is something quantifiable that happened to him as to why he wasn't drafted. He ran a 4.6 40. Which as a wide receiver, that's
a death sentence in it.
Especially a wide receiver with his stature and his perceived skill set, that is a death sentence. But you know who else didn't run the best 40? I'm not saying he's this guy. Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't run the best 40.
Yeah.
They seem to both have that football speed. We obviously know for a fact Amon-Ra St. Brown does because he's become one of the best wide receivers in football. But Isaiah Williams, just the way that he's able to move, the way he's able to get in and out of his breaks when he's running routes, that makes up for maybe a 40 time in which in a straight line run you don't run as fast.
Anquan Bolden. There's another guy. I mean, you could time him with a sundial. I mean, honestly, you okay, I think the Sun's beating Anquan.
Right.
But, dude, you know what?
But he going to catch the ball every time.
You get that guy on the – he was a beast.
Yeah, man.
He was a beast. And I mean, look at how long he stuck around the league. I mean, you don't stick around the league that long unless guys know you're a guy that can go out there and make plays. And you're right, Flynn. I guess based on what I just said with Anquan, that proves you right as well. If we're seeing this stuff, don't think for a second the guys aren't seeing this. Don't think for a second they're not watching the tape and going, all right, I know I can count on this guy. I know I can. Oh, take a look at that. So, yes, absolutely, that's a factor whether people want to admit it or not.
And I think, I don't think there's a way in hell Donovan Peoples-Jones makes this team.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I had faith in him being able to step up with Josh Reynolds gone because of what he's already done in the NFL. He showed us that he can go and have I think 700, 800-yard receiving season. But he hasn't. The 3 receivers ahead of him are Isaiah Williams, Caden Davis, and Darius Fountain. I'd put him ahead of Donovan Peoples-Jones just based off what he's doing in practice. Because it's not like Donovan Peoples-Jones has done anything to write home about.
Yeah.
And another thing about Isaiah Williams, I know Flannel will hate this, but he played quarterback in college. So we know how freaky Ben Johnson likes to get. That's another guy who you could run an end-around throwing play for Isaiah Williams and feel pretty comfortable about him making the right read or a correct throw in a situation like that.
And all you need to do is maybe pull that out of the hat a couple of times a year.
Yes,
With Isaiah
there you go.
Williams, and I'll even grant you that. With Isaiah Williams, you saw him in the preseason game get a really nice run on an end around. But if he has that threat of being able to throw the ball, which maybe you give if you're Ben Johnson a couple of times a year, Isaiah Williams to have the autonomy to, if you see someone open, throw it. If you don't, tuck and run. If he's Isaiah Williams, he's an undrafted rookie. That's all you really want from him are just a couple of big plays a year. And I think that he is somebody that can do that. And it's just, you know it when you see it. And I get it. I'm more of a numbers guy than like an eye test guy. But in the preseason, that's where preseason is sometimes hard for me because all you really can go off of is the eye test. But even for somebody like me, Isaiah Williams just basically glue off the screen. He didn't just flash. He was the best. He looked like the best player on the entire offense for the last couple of games. And it was evident to pretty much anybody who was watching.
You know, and to your point, you don't even have to run that play. I mean, just show it one time.
Yep.
Show it one time. And then you can line up in that formation and do a myriad of things. And the defense is left sitting there going, okay,
Yeah.
ball, you know,
Yep.
thinking that, you know, you might run that and then you run completely something different. And I think that's something that Ben Johnson, that's kind of how he's made his name, is that unpredictability. And you think they're going to run one thing when they're set up in this set and they do something different. So that's just another piece that you can throw out there at an opportune time.
Yes, and as far as Donovan Peoples-Jones goes, R.I.P. I was rooting for that man. If we were doing R.I.P. Tuesdays, I would put him in the coffin. There's a little impromptu. There is no excuse for him looking this bad. Honestly, there was no excuse for him being so much of a non-factor even last year. And I get it, new offense and all of that, but he did nothing.
Yeah.
He had 5 catches the entire time that he was there, and he didn't do jack dick in Cleveland as well at the beginning of the season. And he was somebody I was calling for a breakout. Maybe he's just done. It's just when you're as talented as he is, and it's going to happen, you're going to lose your job to Tom Kennedy and Caden Davis and an undrafted free agent rookie. And Darius Fountain, a guy who had 2 catches his entire career and has been a journeyman. When you're more talented than all of them, it's funny how it goes, but DPJ, R.I.P.
Yep. Tough business, man.
Tough business, even though he is a fine Michigan man. But do you know what else is fine as well? Not the best transition, but Swiss Insurance.
Oh.
Now more than ever, it is critical for you to have your insurance reviewed. Swiss Insurance will make sure your carrier is not slipping in extra fees. Call Mark at Swiss Insurance today at 313-530-1698 or Swiss. Go to their website at swissins.com.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Join the best youth football league in Metro Detroit. The Boys and Girls Club of Michigan's 3C Sports League offers youth ages 5 to 14 with 6 enticing teams to choose from in Detroit, Belleville, Highland Park, and East Point. All coaches are trained, certified, and undergo background checks. Register for football or cheerleading at bgcsm.org. Equipment, meals, and transportation included. For all, a chance to play for a championship at Ford Field. Just $175 per child. Put the youth back in youth sports with BGCSM 3C Sports.
Hey, cruising on into the second hour of Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my right is Sean Belegian. And oddly enough, there's a weird army of DPJ defenders in the chat.
Oh.
Jay Cruzen, wild on DPJ, so is he a bust?
Yes. DPJ should not make the team.
No, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
It's not about him being a bust or not.
100%.
He'll probably get another job. It just didn't work here.
Will he, though? Will he?
Maybe. Who knows?
If he can't make the roster with this receiving core,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only like 4 or 5 other teams that don't have a solidified 1 through 3.
He was supposed to be wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
he was
that's
supposed
facts.
to be have the production of Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, and this is
He's
why
more talented.
This is why they didn't re-sign Josh Reynolds. This is why they signed him to that 1-year deal after he seemingly didn't do a lot when they traded for him, you know. And maybe we tried to chalk it up to, oh, it might be the playbook. Oh, you know, he was just getting here, but he has not stepped up and did anything significant.
You know what's crazy, though? And I think we're all guilty of this, so don't think that I'm calling KG and Flannel your people out for saying this, okay? There is a segment of the fan base that regardless of what you see on the field, you see the big block end.
I believe that.
And I mean, that's just, and like I said, before you yell at me, the same goes for our people, Sven.
Seinfeld and Davis.
There are people out there that just sit back and go, well, he was a good Wolverine or he was a good Spartan. Remember that game he had against Iowa? And that is their driving force. I mean, to me, I wish every guy that went to Michigan State or Wayne State or Michigan, I wish them all the best. At the end of the day, you know what I want from my team? The best.
Yes, sir.
You can have wishes. I want the best on my team, okay? So if that guy isn't the best, and I don't know how one human being could look at this the past year and say to themselves, oh, no, out of that mix, he's the best. There's no possible way you can quantify it other than you are a complete slapdick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. If you're a slapdick, we'll all move on with our day, but just acknowledge that because there's nothing that you can say or do to quantify him beating out some of those guys.
there's Buddy, what do you got?
The Goster Charlotte stuff. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Bring him back home.
Bring him home.
I guess he's in court. He's
don't bring him home.
Yeah, former NFL lineman Goster
Don't bring him near me either.
is leaving East Boston District Court today after allegedly urinating on another passenger during a Delta Airlines flight to Dublin.
Damn.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Crashing out, man.
That's why I said don't bring him near me.
Yeah.
No,
Crashing out, bro.
I got a puppy at home. I got enough piss all over me.
Damn.
Fair. That is 100%
Can't go
fair.
out like that,
But
man.
the bottom line is with this whole discussion about wide receivers and Donovan Peoples-Jones, Isaiah Williams, is that no matter what you say about him, because I get it, DPJ in a way he had some success on Cleveland. He wasn't a first round pick or anything like that. But the reality is that there's no excuse when you have as much talent as Donovan Peoples-Jones does to be as irrelevant as he was last year.
Yep.
And there's certainly no excuse for him to lose a job to guys who can't even sniff his level of talent and size and speed and all of that. But it's all well and good because maybe Isaiah Williams is that next great diamond in the rough for Brad Holmes, and we certainly love to see that. But Sean Belegian, before we move on to some Tigers talk, which I'm actually excited to talk about, what do you need to see, if anything, in the last preseason game for the Lions?
Shut her down.
Hey.
Yep.
Shut her down. Bubble wrap everybody of importance and say, see you in a couple weeks. We're looking forward to that home debut on Sunday night. Operation Shut Her Down. Sorry to be boring.
No.
I'm just shooting straight with you, man.
So by shut her down, what about somebody like Hendon Hooker? Do you want to see him playing? Because the best case scenario is he doesn't play this season. So somebody like him, where would he fall into your shut her down or play?
No, I think that's different. Yeah, I mean when you're talking about starters, that's different. Play him most of the game. I don't I don't have a problem with it.
Fair.
I mean, I would much rather look for a capable backup quarterback than look for a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Sure. Like we said, Hendon Hooker, hopefully he's a non-factor this year. But KG, are you looking to see anything out of this last preseason game?
Nothing really. Like you said, it's closing time, man. But I do want to see Hendon Hooker from the first half on, and then maybe you throw a Nate Sudfeld in there. Maybe if you want to give Jake Fromm some work, you do that as well. But we know what this is. They're just, running through whatever little last sets they want to see, and any plays defensively that they want to see, and they're going to wrap this thing up and get ready for the season, man. Let's go into this as healthy as we can go.
Another name, though, that I want to bring up as somebody who's been a standout and somebody who I don't know how we feel about him playing in the next game. How about Sione Vaki?
Yeah.
He's had himself a preseason as well. He's been exactly as advertised, which is funny because when he was first picked by the Lions, I'm like, all right, we got some depth in the safety room. Turns out he was that Brad Holmes had something different in mind to be that running back / playmaker / guy who, when he gets the ball in his hands, good things happen. That's what we saw at Utah. He's obviously the ultimate football guy. I always bring it up, the fact that he was able to play offense and defense at times last year. That's amazing, especially since I think his defense suffered because of it. But hey, he found out a new skill, a new way that he could make the NFL, and what he's done in the preseason has been basically exactly what he did in college. Just touch the ball and good things happen.
Yep.
He had 22 rushing yards, 60 receiving yards on 4 receptions, and he looked he looked dynamic out there.
He looks elusive.
He does look elusive. Shifty, fast. Can catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, he's another one that I think maybe Craig Reynolds. I'm not saying he has to go away.
No,
I'm just
not at
saying
all.
that out of a running back 3, I want somebody who's got more of a skill set like a Sione Vaki than like a Craig Reynolds. I'm just saying.
That's the thing, my generation has to come to grips with. We grew up in a time where to this day you could name a team, right? And you knew who the starting running back was. And 30 years ago, you could say a team from 30 years ago and we knew that because this is how the NFL has changed in front of our eyes. You need those pieces now. You need that guy that might get 3 or 4 touches just to be a change of pace. You need all the guys out there. We were joking about this when we were out at McCarty's golf course or golf outing the other day. Collect defensive linemen. I want 10 defensive linemen in my room. I want a crap load of guys in my secondary. Things have changed in that regard that, okay, I can see what KG brings to the table. I can see what Spenny brings to the table. I can see what and you can see what the old guy brought to the table. Each one of these guys, you're not talking about 25, 30 touches. You're going to see 12 here, 7 there, maybe 2 or 3 there, and that's a good thing. You need that guy that brings that change of pace, Flannel.
Yes, and that's why I'm excited about him. He's another one, maybe like an Isaiah Williams, just a couple of times this season make a dynamic play. And God forbid if Gibbs or Monty goes down for a game, which odds are one of them probably will for at least a game. Maybe Sione Vaki gets featured a little bit more. Maybe in a game he can be that change of pace to David Montgomery if Jahmyr Gibbs goes down. Or maybe he can get a couple of carries along with David Montgomery and Craig Reynolds. I wouldn't mind them all 4 being on the team. But out of all of the, I'd say, preseason standouts, Sione Vaki, I think, universally is up near the top as ones who we've watched and been like, wow, maybe Brad Holmes damn near did it again. We shall see, but it's another extra bump now that Brad Holmes is the one making the picks. But do you know who Brad Holmes could pick if he needs a wide receiver? Mark White. If you see the old commercials, you know what I'm talking about.
That's for sure. And if Mark White is your pick, you're doing it right because he will help you get into your dream home. If you're feeling the financial pinch, you can save up to $5,000 of your closing costs with Mark White & Associates. Call markwhitesells.com or call 248-290-8242. That's markwhitesells.com or 248-290-8242. Again, he will save you up to $5,000 of your closing costs. Make sure you tap in with Mark White. He'll make your dreams come true.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports. Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Jesus. It just keeps freezing every time I switch.
That's all right.
All right, here we go. There it is.
Hey.
All right.
Hey.
Since 1996, Feldman Automotive is driven to provide a fast, convenient, first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit feldmanautomotive.com to find the location nearest you. You can catch Woodward Sports live from Feldman Automotive in Novi every other Wednesday. Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer.
Welcome back to Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. It's a Victory Monday in more ways than one. And speaking of Victory Monday, it was a series victory for the Detroit Tigers, taking 2 out of 3 from the Yankees on the weekend. It was a very unique series. 2 were at home, and 1 was in Williamsport for the. It was like a Little League World Series type classic, which the Tigers were able to get that game as well. And one thing you notice when seeing the lineup that was trotted out there yesterday, a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that we are very excited about, a lot of guys who have showed a lot in the majors already, and a lot of guys who have showed promise, or even some that haven't had a ton of time in the majors yet, but are probably better than what we've seen this year at certain positions. Hello, Jace Young and Trey Sweeney for Baez and McKinstry. So let me just ask you this, Sean. Moving forward, we don't think they're going to be part of a playoff race this year, but the fact that there's a youth movement going on, that you see people who you're excited about for the future, are you likely to be more tapped into the Tigers to end the season?
Yeah, I will, especially during the week. I mean, let's face it. I think I speak for everybody here. Unless you're a diehard baseball fan first, a lot of people check out on the Tigers. You know, I brought it up earlier in the show. A lot of people paid no attention to Tarek Skubal making a claim for being the best pitcher in the American League and the best pitcher in baseball a year ago at this time. We were too wrapped up on what a lot of Michigan fans felt could be a special season. A lot of Lion fans felt could be a special season. And even the Spartan fans were going, well, maybe if this, that, or the other thing happens. So at the end of the day, I don't think that people saw that. And I need to repeat this. It's different than in years gone by. In years gone by, people like me were screaming 3 years before the eventuality of Al Avila being out of here. Guys, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. Like, forget it. I know you can't see them there, but actually go look at what they're doing in Erie or not doing. Go look at what they're doing in Toledo or not doing. Go look at what they're not doing in West Michigan. There's nothing there. So you were able to kick the can down the road because I could tell you about this mythical creature named KG. Just wait. There's a reason why he was
a beast at the plate.
There is a reason why he was selected where he was. And this is a guy he's going to join the 60-60 club because it was all mythical. It was all mythical. And the difference now, Sam, is we've heard about these guys. We've seen them do a myriad of things at the other level. Well, now we can see if they can do it at this level. And I think that's just a huge, huge difference.
It 100% is. And what this is leading to for me is, I use this term a lot. People are probably going to get tired of me using it, but I don't give a damn. Baseball is the ultimate game of microcosms. Let me explain. It's obviously a long 162-game season and all of that, and moving forward, it's going to be a lot of games that these young players are going to be able to play, hopefully together, assuming everybody stays healthy, which has been a problem with a lot of Tigers players. However, let's go to the game last night against the Yankees, in which they walked it off in the bottom of the 10th. Who got the tying hit in the 9th? Jace Young. Who scored the tying run and had 3 hits? Colt Keith. Who had the game-winning hit and also had 3 hits in the game? Parker Meadows. Who pitched a gem? Tarek Skubal. Which all-star came back from the IL and actually made an appearance in the lineup last night? Riley Green. Oh. Riley Green. More on Kerry Carpenter in a second. How about the game before, in which they won 4-0 on a Saturday? Who had 2 hits in that game? Jace Young, Spencer Torkelson, Colt Keith. Who came back from the minors with a bang, had a double and triple? Spencer Torkelson. Who pitched a gem? Cater Montero. And for anybody saying crap about Cater Montero, I get it, he hasn't been great this year, but he was thrown into a situation in which he wasn't really ready for and prepared for, and he's still one of the top pitching prospects in the organization, and he's managed to pitch some gems, although a lot of bad as well, I understand that. And who was scoreless out of the bullpen? Tyler Holton and Jason Foley. And I didn't even mention Kerry Carpenter, who in his first couple of games back, both wins, hit 3 home runs in 2 games, including a game tire, in a game that you lose if Kerry Carpenter is out of the lineup. I have no doubt about that. Every single person that I just mentioned has a chance of being on this team when they're good. Every single one of the guys that I mentioned has a chance of being part of the Tigers core. And that's why it was so exciting this weekend, because our young guys beat the Yankees. A lot of our unheralded guys, even like a guy like Cater Montero, completely shut down Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. It was great to watch, and that's one of the reasons why this stretch moving forward, late August and all through September, I think the Tigers, and I get it, they're going to have to be battling with the Lions, Michigan State football, but they're going to be must-see TV to me, man.
Well, how many times during the hashtag Detroit Roots era did we actually see hashtag Detroit Roots? We saw a bunch of bums of the month, names that we mentioned, and no disrespect to your boy Robbie, guys that, okay, I know what Robbie Grossman is. Don't take that as a shot. But I know what Robbie Grossman is. I saw what he was with the Twins. I saw what he was with the Tigers, and now I've seen what he is since then. The big difference is you are seeing guys that make you go, okay, there's this. What if he goes like that? What if he's as good as a lot of people are saying? And you need to see those moments that you talked about. And again, please take this into consideration. I'm not saying all is clear. Just clear sailing ahead, okay? What I'm saying is, wouldn't you like to see all the moments that Flannel just brought up, as opposed to, say, none of the moments that he just brought up? And that's why I'm saying I'm willing to take a breath. I'm not going to take away a year away from being a year away. Oh, no. It doesn't go away that easy, okay? But I'm willing to take a breath and say, okay, now I'm starting to see that there's an actual semblance of a plan here. Because I think what frustrated so many people, Flannel, especially the baseball elite, is how many times did you hear it even a couple of months ago? Scott Harris, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. What are we even doing here? What direction are we going in? It looks like there's a semblance of a plan now.
Yes, and let's go Red Wings Sparty. He echoes me. If this lineup gets trotted out the majority of the stretch, I'm going to find a way to watch. I think we all will. It's fun. A lot of these guys we already know are good. Riley Green's already been an all-star. Kerry Carpenter has already had a ton of success. No matter what you think about Spencer Torkelson, and more on him later, he's had a 30 home run season. Colt Keith has had a, I would say, top 5 AL Rookie of the Year season so far this year. And Jace Young, I think he's looked pretty good in a small sample size. And I get it, with somebody like Jace Young, he's going to go through slumps and peaks and valleys, but he's looked damn good. Trey Sweeney, mixed, but in the minors, he came right to the Tigers organization with an absolute bang. Dylan Dingler, another one, mixed, but he's had some moments as well. The point is that Parker Meadows, ever since that early stretch where he got sent to the minors for hitting under 100, I bet his numbers since then have been pretty damn good. I don't have them in front of me, but look at the total season. That OPS and that on-base percentage, it's starting to crawl kind of close to the 300, 700 mythical range, which I would love to see. But KG, I know you're going to be tapped in with the Tigers to end the year with this youth movement with all kinds of promise.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Sean said, it's really about the development at this point, man. This looks completely different from what the Al Avila show was, man. And they've been able to salvage some of these guys. Your Jace Youngs, man, he looks good, man, going forward. Parker Meadows, I know he had a real rough start to the season, but now you're seeing that if he can connect with the bat consistently, he can be an impact player for this team, man. Torque may be too far gone at this point, but you see it with some of these guys, man. The development is there, and I'm so glad that they didn't fold on this season. Yes, the playoffs are out of reach, but you wanted to see them continue to go out there and fight. Let's see why we should build around you guys, and so far, so good. I know some things have to change, of course, from up top as far as free agency goes, but I'm confident in Scott Harris's vision. I see the play now. Unfortunately, we got to wait a little bit longer before we can really get this shit in gear, but I do at least take solace in the fact that it seems like they have a plan. I can see the plan now, and hopefully they can execute on this plan.
You know what's weird, though? I think the two guys that you just brought up, and I'm a show me guy. I openly admit show me, and maybe that's why I'm willing to give Torque a little bit more rope than the average person is. Parker Meadows.
Yeah.
We didn't see it. We did. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm speaking out of turn here, we didn't see it. Yeah. I was just like, okay, this isn't going to happen with the kid. Now that he's showing it, it's like the eyebrow goes up. Ooh, okay. And again, if I didn't see Torque go on that tear, if I didn't watch it with my own two eyes last year, I'd probably be in the same spot that I just was with Parker Meadows. And that's why I keep going back to this. I think there's validity to what Gibby said. And I've heard Gibby say it a bunch of times. It's probably between the ears because we saw the kid do it. Now, does that automatically mean that something's going to snap and all of a sudden he's going to go back to being that guy that was just ripping it for a couple months last year? Not necessarily, but I'm willing to give him a little more rope because he actually showed it, Flannel.
Ooh, more on that in the next segment because
I don't know, man.
I'm interested to have this discussion with everybody else in the room as well. And just for the record, Parker Meadows in the month of August, 362 on base percentage, 927 OPS. When you start the season as poor from the plate as he did, the fact that he's, for the totality of the season, got a 285 on base and a 669 OPS, that is a miracle in and of itself. And he's been maybe the August MVP for the Tigers. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. I just wish, and I kind of ripped him for it at the time, maybe a little unfairly, I wish he didn't get hurt in that Cincinnati series stealing second. Mm-hmm. But we all know how I feel about stolen bases. But I want to talk more about the
stolen base tied you the game last night.
Hey,
damn right.
That's fair. Shout out Zach McKinstry. But shout out to let me see, where are we?
Get it together, Flame.
Hey, I am getting it together. KDK Law, of course. I got so many damn papers around here. And KDK Law for the divorce that hopefully you're not getting, and I'm certainly not getting, despite what I told you one time on the show. Dealing with divorce, child custody, visitation, or other family law issues, Kevin and Catherine at KDK Law in Birmingham will have your back. With 10-plus years of experience and 24/7 availability, scan the QR code right above my head on the screen or call 248-971-0476. Say Woodward Sports sent you and KDK will pay your filing fee. KDK Law, they've got your back.
So just to get the heated steering wheel, I also had the spring for the bigger rims.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Those upgrades will cost you an arm and a leg every time.
Hey, new car crew, how'd it go this weekend? I got a great deal on mine.
How?
I went to Randy Wise, not those other guys. They got me in a great new ride, and they didn't break my budget. Hey, could you pass me the sugar?
How?
Never mind.
He made the wise choice.
Yep.
Make the wise choice at RandyWiseChevy.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at WoodwardSports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC, the same great service that customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Avenue just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet, together, let's drive. Keeping it pushing live on Big D Energy on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my right is Sean Belegian. We got KG in the audio booth and Spencer Raxter in the TD booth. What a team that I have with me today. Speaking of, not the best transition, but teams, Spencer Torkelson on the Detroit Tigers. Good Lord, that was rough. But anywho, that's immaterial. And what else was rough for a lot of his career has been Spencer Torkelson's slash lines. But hey, he did come back from the minors with a bang on Saturday, had himself a double and a triple. That's a good game. Wasn't as great on a Sunday night, but it didn't matter because his teammates were able to pick him up and they were able to get the win. And Sean, you touched on it a bit in the last segment, but how confident are you in Spencer Torkelson's success moving forward?
You can't be. You're lying to yourself. Don't worry, he's going to figure it out.
He had 30 homers.
Yeah, you can't. But I need to reiterate. Sorry for stealing your thunder. I'm willing to give him a little more rope than anybody else. Look, this is a perfect time to find out, isn't it? Whether you want to admit it or not, the Tigers aren't getting into the wild card race. Yes, I know the next 10 games are shit. I know the next 10 games are shit.
They're
You
only
got
9
the
games
Cubs,
back.
you got the Sox, you got the shitty Angels. You're really not legitimately getting into it, okay? Let's find out. Now, am I saying this is going to be his last hurrah? Hey, listen, if he's miserable down the stretch, maybe it is. I don't know. I have no idea. Are you willing to say, okay, it didn't work. He had this great 2-month span. Great. Sorry, let me strike that. He had a very good 2-month span. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Why not? In the next month and a half, and I think, Flannel, that goes back to what we were just talking about. Yes, that's another reason I'm intrigued. Can this guy find himself again? Can Kirk Gibson be proven 100% correct and whatever it was between his ears and lack of confidence, et cetera, all of a sudden he finds his stroke again? That's another reason to watch.
Of course, because we would imagine what this could do for the team moving forward if Spencer Torkelson actually turns into the 1-1 that he was drafted to be, which I think is more and more unlikely as time goes on.
No question.
But what if he's just a really good first baseman? We don't necessarily know that. And I see in the chat, Chuck Brewer, Sam, I hope Torque shows enough we can find a trade partner. I don't really blame you for that line of thinking right now. And Jay Cruz in 71, Torque who? Don't blame you for that line of thinking at all. KG, I know I've heard you rumbling a little bit in there, some rumblings, and I'm curious to see your thoughts. Are you confident in Spencer Torkelson moving forward?
At this point, no. I just need to see more before this season is over. And like I said, I don't even need the long bombs. Just put the ball in play, man. But I'm not sure if it's just mental with him at this point, man. I think there is some mechanical issues with his swing. He still has trouble squaring up that fastball. They were talking about it on the broadcast last night. His bat path is just really bad against sliders, man. And he is not good at making adjustments. And I think that's the biggest part of his game is that he struggles making adjustments at the plate, man. And you see it with other guys. You can kind of see it with Colt Keith. He's making adjustments. You see it with Parker Meadows. He's made the adjustments. But it's just, it doesn't seem like he has that, man. And I know the 30 home run season was all well and good, and maybe he isn't as bad as we think. I just don't know if it's going to happen here with this organization. He might be one of those players you let go, and then 5 years from now, you're like, damn, Torque, he's killing it, man. It's a shame he couldn't work with the Tigers, but when you add that into the pot with his bad defense at first and things of that nature, and him going down for a now second time in his career, coming back up, he was never supposed to be in this spot in the first place. You got to be worried at this point, and I don't know if he has a future with this team.
Guys figure you out in the league. They period. Javi Baez.
Yeah.
Guys figure you, hey, you know what? If I throw 8 feet outside, that idiot's going to go chase it, right? And the key is, and you brought it up, you have to adjust. You have to find a way. You know, this guy can't hit a curveball. Guess what? I'm throwing Flannel nothing but curveballs. I'm not. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold it up ahead of time and go, Flannel, here comes another curve. Just so you know how they always take that picture of the Tiger pitcher holding the ball. I'm throwing you a curve, Flannel. If you can't show me that you can hit the curve, I'm throwing nothing but curves at you, man. And adjustment is absolutely key.
Yeah, and I got to be honest. I got to echo everything that you guys have been saying about Spencer Torkelson. I do not have confidence in him moving forward, to the shock of absolutely no one. But I've got my reasons, as you guys do. One thing that I've said on this show, and I haven't even really verified it as well as I should have, but I did today. One thing that I've always said about Spencer Torkelson's season last year is that it's hard to have an OPS under 800 when you hit 30-plus home runs. It seems like it makes sense, but I actually looked it up today. Out of all of the players who had 30 or more home runs in the 2023 season, Spencer Torkelson's OPS was the worst out of all of them. And I get it. A low OPS for a 30 home run season, it's not the worst thing in the world, or a low OPS in relation to a 30 home run season is not the worst thing in the world. I'd still say his second season was a success. But this idea that I just don't know how we could ever see this coming. Spencer Torkelson hit 30 home runs last year. What the F could have happened? I reject that line of thinking because the majority of his career in Major League Baseball, Spencer Torkelson has been horrific. It's just the reality of the situation. In 1,181 at-bats in his career, he has a .218 average, a .297 on base, and a .686 OPS. Those are not good numbers. That is a pretty damn big sample size, and the only reason I bring that up is how he performed this season. You can excuse a bad rookie year, which it was a bad rookie year for him, if he never gets to that level again. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's exactly what he did this year after that surge he had last season, which was a couple of months of being really damn good.
No progression.
It's just, with Spencer Torkelson, and I get it, he's a power hitter, and hitting home runs is always going to be a part of his story. But when that man isn't hitting bombs on a regular basis, he's useless. He doesn't walk. He doesn't hit very well. He doesn't get a lot of singles or doubles or anything like that. He's kind of that home run or strikeout guy a lot of the times. And I'm sorry, with guys like Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter, I've seen more. I've seen better slash lines across the board from those guys. Riley Green in almost the same amount of at-bats. That's why I'm so confident in him as opposed to Torque, is because you've seen the linear progression. The only thing stopping Riley Green is health, and that is a concern right now, but let's hope he can finish the last of the season. I look at even guys like Wensiel Perez, Justin Henry Malloy, and Colt Keith have objectively better rookie seasons than Spencer Torkelson did, and I get it. It was a different team. Not every situation is the same, but Spencer Torkelson was also the #1 overall pick. Justin Henry Malloy, Wensiel Perez, Colt Keith, they weren't number ones. I don't even think any of them were first rounders. Hell, Akil Baddoo had a better rookie season than Spencer Torkelson did. It's just, with him, there's been too much bad with Spencer Torkelson for me to have confidence in him. And that's just the way that it is right now, and I don't think that's unfair.
It isn't unfair at all. I mean, baseball is unique in my mind in that, in regards, if you're talking about hitting, the numbers tell you all you need to know. Yes. And that's why we take cumulative average into effect. Who remembers those glorious days where we would see these tweets come out from somebody who covers the Erie team, or somebody who covers Toledo, or somebody who covers West Michigan, and it says, Flannel Sam went 6 for his last 9 this weekend with 7 RBI. Well, timeout, that's a good weekend. I'm not going to take anything away from it. Can I look at the rest of his numbers? The rest of his numbers are shit. And that's what drives me nuts. Small sample sizes are great, but baseball is the great equalizer. And like you just said, Flannel, if you look at the cumulative average, that's why they call it average, I think it tells the story. You don't often get the full story in other sports. You don't get it in football. You don't get it in hockey, et cetera, et cetera. But in baseball, you get the full story of what a guy is doing and what he isn't doing at the plate. And that's the beautiful thing. So because of that, it's not the popular opinion, what you just said, but that's what averages do. Yes. And you want to see more of the small sample size. And if we're going to have a mature adult conversation about Spencer Torkelson, you have to admit off the bat that 2-month span last year is the small sample size. And it went away, and it hasn't shown any sign of returning. That's frightening.
It hasn't. And for the record, I hope that Spencer Torkelson can make me look like the biggest idiot on the planet. Because imagine this Tigers team moving forward if the 2 1-1s end up being good. If Spencer Torkelson even ends up being functional and Casey Mize even ends up being a 3 or 4 starter, we're looking at a very bright future for the Detroit Tigers. We're looking at a bright future for the Tigers, despite those guys not being what they thought that they would be.
Well, would you agree with me then? I mean, he's going to give every opportunity. He's going to be given every opportunity the next month and a half.
As he should. I thought that they would have to wait till September call-ups, but I'm happy that he's in the majors. I'm happy that he had a very good game back, and I hope that he can get those numbers up at the end of the year, because it would behoove the Tigers if their first baseman moving forward is Spencer Torkelson, and it would behoove them moving forward if they had a stretch of a lot of good guys being drafted by Al Avila, which is so funny to think about, but it's true. But right now, I can't say that I have confidence in Spencer Torkelson, because even for people who don't like numbers like on-base percentage and OPS, his career average is 218 and damn near 1,200 lifetime at-bats.
And maybe if he hit more home runs, it would be worth it. But you look at a guy, if we're talking about slugging percentage, Matt Vierling is having a better season from that aspect than he is. And that just goes to show you, man, a role player having way more of an effect than a 1-1 pick. So, I mean, at this point, what do you do?
Those dudes that find a way to get on base, I'll take them all day.
Yes.
I'll just take them all day.
Speaking Flannel's language.
Well, I don't think Flannel. I don't think enough is put into it. And listen. Conversely, you know what? I'm not going to wipe my hands clean of Sweeney because he looked lost at the plate and K'd 3 times last night. Sorry, it's a small sample size. That's what's intriguing. So to me, if you are interested in being fair, it has to go both ways. I'm not going to take the good small sample size and go, I told you, Flannel. And I'm not going to take the bad sample size and go, I told you, Flannel. Big deep breath. We'll be able to take stock in the next month.
Yes, that's what we hope for. A good stretch to end the year. I'd like to see the Tigers end up over 500. I would like to see Riley Green get out of this mini slump that he's been on both before the injury and last night. I would absolutely love to see it. And I remember I mentioned something earlier about Justin Henry Malloy having a better rookie season than Spencer Torkelson. Tony D, Malloy just got set down. Well, Spencer Torkelson was set down his rookie year and his third year.
You're right.
Which is why I'm even talking about this rookie year in the first place.
He's a 1-1 pick out of college.
I don't want to be talking about Wensiel Perez as having a better rookie season than Spencer Torkelson, and I wouldn't be if Spencer Torkelson's third season wasn't so god-awful. You know what? When we come back, I want to talk about this a little bit more, because I want to get Spenmo Rax's view and take on Spencer Torkelson, because maybe he's a little bit more positive than the rest of us are. However, maybe he is not. But first, hey, I'm holding my breath. But first, let's talk about Randy Wise, because the Celebrity Golf Tour, man, we have been it's been going around. We've been on a couple of them in the last couple of shows. But how would you like to play with a legend like Darren McCarty, Kurt Gibson, Braylon Edwards, or Calvin Johnson? It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Register today and you could play like a VIP. Go to woodwardsports.com or scan the QR code on the screen. When it comes to your next car or truck, make the wise decision. It's Randy Wise Automotive.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down.
Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Enough Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza is popping up all over Michigan. Locations are opening everywhere in Metro Detroit. They just opened one in Madison Heights. Make sure you tap in. They got the best chicken in the game, delicious New York-style pizza, and biscuits to die for. To find one near you, go to Sorokis.com. Soroki's. Now that's crispy.
Oh, it certainly is crispy, and I might have to pop on over to Soroki's after this show, because as Sean Belegian always said,
grab me a biscuit if you
hey, about this time, it's just
it's the worst.
We're all getting kind of hungry, but you know what? Talking sports always makes me forget about everything else in life because it is just so much fun doing it with you guys and everybody in the chat. And someone specifically who I love talking sports with is one Spenmo Rex.
Hello.
And I wanted to get his opinion about Spencer Torkelson. Are you confident in him moving forward?
Fuck no, I'm not confident. Like you guys said, it's the outlier has him been being good at hitting the ball. I'm not confident. I don't think anybody can sit here realistically and say they're confident in him moving forward. Hopefully he can find his stroke, pause. But it's just, no. I don't think anybody, like I said, I don't think anybody can say I'm confident that Spencer Torkelson is going to be a good baseball player. Hopefully, hopefully he can find what he caught in the second half last year. But as it sits right now, that was the outlier, and what we've seen on Spencer Torkelson, more likely than not, is him being a below average to bad baseball player.
You know what? That's what I wanted to ask all you guys. Like, honestly, best case scenario for Spencer Torkelson. Because me personally, I've kind of given up the 1-1 thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I would hope? I would hope for him to be
Mike Moustakas.
Yes.
Or Eric Hosmer.
No, and you know what? Hey, how well did that work when they were on good teams?
Yeah.
When there were a bunch of other guys, look at some of those Royal teams, right? The 2 years they went to the series and then won the World Series, there were a lot of those guys that looked a hell of a lot better because you had to pitch to somebody. Remember Alex Gordon?
Yes.
Did Alex Gordon just forget how to hit? Remember his last few years?
Yeah.
He was awful. But it's amazing when you have some other guys in the lineup that can hit. They're going to have to show you some pitches. And how many times did we see that? Even in that era from 11 to 14. Okay, you have to pitch to somebody. And you make a mistake to Victor Martinez, he's going to put it up the gap. I mean, he might only get a single out of it, but he's going to drive 2 or 3 runs in because the dude couldn't motor. So best case scenario, that's what I'm kind of hoping for. He's all right. He's not a 1-1, but remember, guys, that's best case scenario. Me personally, I've given up the 1-1, and he's going to be a franchise, face of the franchise. I've given that stuff up.
Chris Ogdahl in the chat. I just want Torque to be Brandon Inge.
Yeah, damn.
That's
insane,
real
though.
That's the crazy thing is, given what we've seen from Spencer Torkelson,
please no more.
For the majority of his career, he has been much worse than Brandon Inge. Although in that stretch, he was better than Brandon Inge ever was, or at least that's what I think.
Can we not build like idols to his greatness for being average?
Yeah.
I don't think that's what he was
stay
doing,
away
though.
from that though? I don't think he was
I
doing
think we
that. But
can.
as long as we can stay away from that, I'm cool.
Of course we can. Go ahead, KG.
No, and Sean, I get your point about the protection, but Torque was supposed to be a guy you weren't supposed to have these problems with.
No question.
He was supposed to be a 3-hole hitter, your guy that you don't want to pitch to. He was a college-ready bat that broke all these records, these Barry Bonds records. So, like I said, you weren't supposed to have this problem with him, and that's what makes it so tough. If he was hitting more home runs, then you can justify it. But he's not even doing that, and he's just not. He doesn't look like a good pro.
Well, we're coming from a bad starting point to begin with. If we're talking best case scenario, and that's what we're left talking about, I mean, that tells you all you need to know. Okay, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Well, you don't get okay out of the number 1 pick. That's not supposed to happen.
There's been no progression from his rookie season to now.
No, sir.
If you look at the numbers, aside from those home run numbers, there's been literally barely any progression from his rookie season to where he is now.
And one thing I would tell Spencer Torkelson, obviously he's not going to listen to me, but if he needs to stop swinging at bad pitches. He swings at them way more often than somebody who was billed as somebody who has good strike zone discipline. He obviously does not. If he just walks more, I don't give a damn if he hits 233, which is what he did in a 2023. Just walk a little bit more and hit home runs, and you're all right with me. You can be on this team. Are those all-star numbers? Most certainly not. But I would even be okay if moving forward you could count on the season that he had last year every year. I think we would all have been okay with that. It was just, to be honest, I hate to use such a doomsday term, but watching Spencer Torkelson this year has been horrifying.
And how much more data do you need at this point?
And that goes back to, KG, what you brought up last segment, and you're talking about adjustments. Guys know, hey, I don't have to go anywhere near this guy's power zone.
Yep.
He's gonna swing at shit. The Javi Baez. I mean, people forget Javi at one point in time was a pretty damn good hitter, okay? And everybody found out. Put it low, put it 5 feet outside. I mean, almost on a nightly basis, you see one of those freeze frames, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been guilty of it. I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting at home and I'm like, oh, I got to take a freeze frame of that and tweet it out. So people know, and unless you can adjust, well, what are they going to do? They're going to keep giving you that crap.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not even just with like the off-speed pitches. He struggled with fastballs. He wasn't that great in the minors, but like we said before, we hope that Spencer Torkelson turns out to be good, and we had to bring him up because if he never makes it back onto this team, especially given that there's going to be September call-ups, that would be the red flag. He's got to go, but that's neither here nor there because he did make it. It's just unfortunate. But I also think that this cautions us to a little bit is that last season, what he did was kind of overrated. I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to be like Mr. Victory Lap guy, but I was always more confident in Kerry Carpenter and more confident in Riley Green because Riley Green, in both his rookie year and his second year, led the team in on-base percentage, and Kerry Carpenter last year was the only Tiger with an over 800 OPS. Riley Green, he played less games, I get it, but even on a per-game basis, had nowhere near the power numbers that Spencer Torkelson did. But he also, he had a better OPS, and OPS on base plus slugging, because one of my problems with Spencer Torkelson is that when he's not hitting home runs, he is useless. He is a high A player if he's not hitting home runs. And oh, by the way, during the 2 seasons that weren't his 30 home run season, he has combined 12 in like over 162 games.
See, but we had to see something. Would you agree? I can't call it useless. We were at that point last year where we had to see
absolutely.
something. I agree with your logic behind it, okay? But at that point in time, my vantage point was, okay, he's coming up. He's coming up. Maybe some of those things, Flannel, that you were looking for can accompany him. Maybe he can mix in a walk. Maybe he can mix in slapping a single to the opposite field, whatever the case may be. At that point in time, we needed something, anything, to grasp onto. A year later, I agree with your assessment. You got to have more. There's no... But at that time, I don't know if I can call it useless because he had to show us something.
Well, and I wasn't calling his last season useless. I was calling his last season overrated. When everybody was losing their minds over Torg, I thought people undersold Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter. And if it was because of health, I understand it. But those are the guys who have played out and actually they've been as advertised, unfortunately also hurt, which is as advertised. But I just got to read this before we go to break. Zach Soap, because we've had this conversation before, Sam also thinks Scooble's season was an entire waste. Hey, I thought we hashed it out in the chat, Zach Soap.
Zatch.
You can't tell. That was hilarious.
Zatch Bell's a fire show.
You can't tell me that it's not incredibly disappointing that you're going to have this Cy Young winner and you're not going to make the playoffs. That's tragic in a way. And I'm not saying that Tarek Skubal, what he did was a waste. For him, it's his greatest achievement. He has nothing to do with this season being disappointing or this team not being a playoff team. It's more about what's gone on around him, whether it's injuries, whether it's lack of free agent signings that we wanted, whether it's people like Spencer Torkelson being terrible and Parker Meadows being terrible in early on.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think you feel the same way that I do. I think the pitching win-loss is such an overrated stat. It's disgusting. I don't know how anybody could argue it. What I look at, and this is what I remember about Doug Fister when he joined the Tigers, it's the games that you win that guy starts. And the Tigers, if you remember down the stretch when they ran away and hid from the rest of the division, every time Fister took the bump, he went out there, he pitched well, put the Tigers, but a very bad baseball team is winning a vast majority of games that he starts.
Damn right.
That's huge. You cannot put a price tag on that.
Yeah, I mean, last night's the perfect example. If Tarek Skubal would have gotten the loss, we all understand that it means nothing for the season. That's still a dominant performance, but a pitching win and loss guy would have been like, oh, you see, Tarek Skubal got the loss. Actually, does a pitching wins losses guy still exist in the world? Because if you are, you got to get some
You know
nuance.
what? The older dudes. I think a lot of it comes back to what you grew up with. And whether people want to admit it or not, older dudes turn into their dads. I know how things are. I saw this guy. So they're not willing to change with that type of thing.
You know what I love? All those 20-win seasons by guys like Andy Pettitte in which they had a 4 ERA. Those just get me off every single time. Obviously, I'm kidding. But do you know where you should go if you want to get the blood flowing pretty much everywhere? Planet Fitness.
Of course you should go to Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone. You can get a full body workout in 30 minutes. All memberships include fitness training. If you want more, you can upgrade to the Black Card. You can use the amenities like hydro massage, total body enhancement. You got tanning beds. You got access to over 2,500 locations. Planet Fitness, make sure you go in, register to Planet Fitness near you, or go to planetfitness.com to sign up. Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week, walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of. And guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy or Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that DMAC trusts. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.
Hey, last segment of the day, live on Big D Energy. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my right is Sean Belegian. We are filling in for Neil Rule and Darren McCarty. We got KG in the audio booth and Spencer Raxter in the TD booth. And you guys get your mailbag questions in the chat. If we got time, we will read as many of them as possible. But the Shaquille Oatmeal was coming at me in the chat earlier, but we couldn't address it because we had more pressing things with the Lions and the Tigers to talk about, but I want to address it now.
Oh, yeah, Flannel.
Talk to him.
No, but it's actually something that we can discuss as a room because I think it's a very, very interesting conversation. I subtweeted a Twitter post in which I forgot who it was, but he said that Jason Tatum clears Kyrie Irving all time.
Yeah, I saw that.
And what I said was, yeah, that's not even a debate. He obviously does. And I got murdered for that. And the Shaquille Oatmeal obviously is not a fan of that take. He says that I'm crazy. However, I think that I have more of a leg to stand on than anybody else.
Let's hear it.
And I think that the person who made the tweet has a lot of leg to stand on too. Because I see a lot of people in the chat, or even him and a lot of other people in the chat early on, say that Jason Tatum was carried to his ring and all of that. And I get it.
I mean, Kyrie wasn't?
Yeah.
He had LeBron James on his team.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. And this is something that was really pervasive in this show, unfortunately, in which I had a lot of knockdown, drag-out arguments. This Kyrie slob fest has really gotten on my nerves, and he's a really damn good player. A first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. But when people were using like Kyrie Irving wins for his time with the Cleveland Cavaliers as stats, I wanted to blow my brains out. I get it. That's probably shouldn't have said that, but you understand what I mean. Because LeBron was on the team, bro. And I get it. Jason Tatum, he didn't win Finals MVP. He didn't perform in the finals the way that we expected somebody to, who had reached that status, who had made multiple All-NBAs. But Jason Tatum still has multiple All-NBAs and Kyrie Irving has 0. So this idea that I'm insane for saying that Jason Tatum is better than Kyrie Irving all time, I don't know what you're smoking. I'm sorry.
I can see his argument. I don't think it's the craziest shit. Now, of course, by a number standpoint and, by a statistical standpoint, absolutely Jason Tatum clears Kyrie Irving. But I think it's Kyrie's impact on the game, Flannel. And then, I always tell you, like, sometimes the stats you just got to watch and see. Kyrie Irving has had way bigger moments than Jason Tatum has in his career. He's been that guy. He's one of the best ball handlers to ever grace this game. He's one of the best finishers to ever grace this game at the point guard position. I think it's just more so that you kind of got to watch Kyrie Irving to understand why people would have that argument. But you're not wrong. I'm just saying, just from a non-stat, standpoint.
Yeah, and that's I know Flannel is going to hate this when I say it, because I'm not disagreeing with you. If you say that Jason Tatum has had a better career with Kyrie, there's not much you can say in argument of Kyrie, but Kyrie Irving is so damn fun to watch play basketball.
Absolutely.
Like, the way like I said, he has the best ball handle of all time, and I don't think it's close. Allen Iverson has been on record saying he has the best ball handle of all time. Yeah. He is the best finisher around the rim I have ever seen play basketball. For a guy who's not super overly athletic like Michael Jordan and can just hang in the air for 20 minutes, the way he gets and finishes those layups on either side with either hand, it's just insane. I love watching Kyrie Irving play basketball. Much more than I love watching Jason Tatum play basketball.
That's fair.
But here's the crazy thing about this argument, and I think we're all guilty at doing this in some point in time. You find yourself knee-deep into an argument before you actually take the time to hear what he said, and I'm going to get your back here. You called him a first-ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it.
Yes.
Basketball great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, the debate is not this guy sucks, because more often than not, when we have in the conversations, it's based on what KG doesn't do as opposed to what he does do.
Yep.
You are giving the man his flowers. I don't think what you're saying is nuts at all. I mean, I think we can have a debate about it, but is it worth to shit on you for it? No, because if you were saying, "Oh, I'm not sure about this guy, his flowers, Hall of Fame, all that stuff," that's one thing. That's when I go, "Oh, Flannel, you're doing it again." But you're giving the man his flowers. I don't think you're crazy for this one.
I appreciate that. And Auteur in the chat, like saying Tatum is better than Clyde Drexler simply because Drexler didn't have the rings. Tatum is better than Clyde Drexler.
Oh, he was something, though.
I'm not
Clyde
saying
and Clyde was something, dude. He really was.
Man.
I'm just saying.
He was something.
All right.
Not everything can be measured in numbers,
he
man.
he was something.
No, I'm not saying that.
Smooth. Oh, good player.
I'm not saying that he wasn't. He was called erroneously for an offensive foul in that damn championship game that NC State won. Fuck you, Terry Gannon, by the way. But
that's a straight.
God, that NC State team makes me want to die. If I was alive back then, I would have probably punched a wall. Because I would have been rooting for Hakeem and Clyde and the Phi Slamma Jamma and all of that and those bums from NC State. Terry Gannon tackled him, and Clyde Drexler got a charge and had his fourth foul. That happened. Watch the damn documentary.
It's true. It's true.
Anywho, that was a fun show, baby. Live on Big T Energy. Thank you so much for watching. Tune into Ermanni Networks with Maz and Woodward Heavyweights later on tonight from 5 to 7 Eastern. We will see you tomorrow for our Tuesday programming of Woodward Sports. Well, see you later.
Later.